The following contest is scheduled for one fall with a 60-minute time limit. Making their way down the aisle, Carlos, Mark, Nick, and Remy, the Entrance Ramp Podcast.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Entrance Ramp Podcast. I am your host, Nick Vega, alongside my co-host, Mark Lindsay.
Hey, everybody. How we doing?
Carlos Rodriguez.
Hey, it's WrestleMania season.
And unfortunately, Remy is not here this week, but as always with us, Remy. So it is WrestleMania weekend. Very different as opposed to usual WrestleManias. Usually people will get together and either go to WrestleMania or go to a party for WrestleMania and, just enjoy the whole ambiance, the entrances, everything about WrestleMania. The whole weekend, access everything, but is unfortunately different this year because of the COVID-19. But we still have a great card. They're still bringing the entertainment, and we're going to go down everything, give our predictions and thoughts, and then draw our conclusions for what's going to happen in the upcoming months because this still is not over, so we don't know how things will shake out. Tonight, Saturday night, first time ever, they're doing a 2-night WrestleMania. Me, for one, I am actually looking forward to it because it is giving everybody a chance to breathe. It's so we don't have to worry about any major errors. I of course, everyone wants a live version, but it being taped might help the product in the very end. It seems as though tonight we are starting off with the Intercontinental Championship match between Daniel Bryan and Sami Zayn, one-on-one. Obviously, there's going to be some shenanigans. Do we think Sami Zayn holds on to the title, or do you think Daniel Bryan is betrayed by Drew Gulak? Carlos?
I think Sami's holding on to the title. I don't think Gulak's going to betray him just yet. If that does happen, I think we'll have, yeah, I think we're like you mentioned, there's going to be some shenanigans, some chicanery, and we'll have the artist. Yeah, still that for some reason earlier. Yeah, we'll have some kind of BS that happens with the artist collection or collective.
I don't know. There's a lot of rumors that Daniel Bryan wants to not retire, but step away from full-time competition. And if that's the case, what better way to have him go out than to win one more championship? So I'm kind of thinking that Daniel Bryan's going to win and then kind of pass the torch to Gulak down the road.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I think Bryan will win. Just because I see more with him and Drew Gulak than I do the Artist Collective. Not because they're not great wrestlers, but Shinsuke's a much older gentleman than people realize. Cesaro's much older. Sammy's older. They're not young guys. Gulak's not really young either, but he's not very old. He's just hitting his prime. So I can see them investing in the future more so than, the latter. After that match, we have the Women's Tag Team Championship match between Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross versus the Kabuki Warriors. I personally think Alexa Bliss is going to win this match because it gives them, a tag division. You have to trade the titles around a little bit. You can't just have dominant champions over a bunch of random tag teams thrown together. Mark, how do you feel?
I agree. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. There are no tag team championships defended by the women, and Alexa Bliss needs to be on my screen.
Yeah, I'm going with Alexa and Nikki on this one too. I think it's time for a title change. The waters have been stagnant. I know like the Kabuki Warriors have been on TV, but the titles haven't been really just because Kari got married and she's kind of enjoying her honeymoon, which is good for her and that's awesome. But beforehand, WWE's like muddled the waters with that title.
Yeah, I also think honestly they'll probably if Asuka and Kairi Sane have to go back to Japan and can't really travel over here to the United States, it's good to take the titles off of them and let them go home to their family. Now we have a thrown together match with Elias and King Corbin. I personally don't care. I can see King Corbin winning. Mark?
Yeah, okay.
Well, there's a reason why Gronk set this up, right? So
yeah.
I think Elias gets the win, even though I think Corbin needs it desperately. But I think Elias gets the win.
Yeah, I think I'm with Mark.
Okay.
Corbin needs to win. Elias is going to win because he got murdered 2 weeks ago. He got thrown off a second floor freaking balcony, and the screen might as well just said fatality.
Right. So it seems like they have the ladder match for the tag team, the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. The New Day versus the Usos versus John Morrison and the Miz.
Right now, there's rumors of how that match
Well,
went.
there's no rumors. We know that Miz didn't compete. I mean, spoiler, sorry, Miz did not compete in this match.
Yeah, that's the weird thing. I think I know we're trying to I didn't read much spoilers for this weekend. I don't know anything. I just know that we don't have Roman and we also don't have Miz. But for tonight is no longer a triple threat, and I don't know how they pull this off. I guess because nothing happened last night. I thought something would happen last night to kind of push the storyline. Like, oh, hey, Miz couldn't do it, like some kind of backstage stuff. But it looks like we're gonna have John Morrison versus one Usos at all. So I don't know how you do that. And also, last year, think about last year, we had Kofi Kingston win the WWE Championship, and now we have a New Day less WrestleMania. 1 year removed. What the hell?
I didn't read any spoilers. This is all news to me, folks. Yeah.
Sorry.
I don't know what's going to happen with that match, but that seems like a throwaway match if they're not for the tag team titles, especially because
they are. That's the thing. They are.
They are.
It's
just a one-on-one match
versus Usos.
I'll take John Morrison then. He's an actual singles competitor. Like, I'm not taking Jimmy or Jay as a singles competitor. Like, their whole gimmick is they're brothers, you know?
Yeah, and that's the only thing I know for that is because of Roman's decision was based on the Usos being pissed. That's it.
Yeah, I heard that they were mad that he was sick, but I didn't know that they turned it into this. Well, let's go over the actual entertaining matchup. We have Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins.
This is gonna be a good match.
Rollins wins. Monday Night Messiah gimmick has to continue. KO can still be, a badass heel face kind of tweener, and just keep it going. Carlos, what do you think?
I would have said, but that promo on Monday with Owens, where he said, I'm gonna steal my WrestleMania moment from you, and I'm of two minds of that because one, he already had a WrestleMania moment with Chris Jericho. He, the United States Championship, and two, okay, yeah, I guess you're gonna win. I feel like Seth is okay losing. Yeah. And there's no title on the line. That's fine. I think Kevin, if that's the basis and crux of his promo and his character, right, this moment, especially with Seth, then I think Kevin's going to win.
Mark?
I think Kevin's going to win too. Just the booking. Seth doesn't need the victory. I just feel bad it's going to be in an empty arena. I think Kevin Owens deserves people cheering for him and 80,000 strong.
That's why I think he's not going to win. One, because of that, him not having a crowd reaction, and two, because I think it's Akam, right? Akam tore his bicep, or was it Razor?
I think it's Akam.
So yeah, I know one of them tore their bicep, and that means they'll be out unless they want one person to go at it as a singles competitor. But I see something like where Seth Rollins has more disciples. Keep that disciple thing. Get Hawkins and Ryder, like get them two. Like they could get their ass whooped the whole every day, but they're just like his lackeys, and it just that's how I would see it. But 2-on-1. Firefly Funhouse match between John Cena and the Fiend Bray Wyatt. Carlos, you were watching SmackDown last night. What do you think is going to be the outcome?
I think, well, if you guys have a moment after listening to our show, watch the little recap ending of last night's episode because that was awesome. But I think we're going to have the most interesting match of both nights. Since it's pre-taped, I think this is going to be the highlight that they'll show off every WrestleMania when they talk about WrestleMania 36. Just because it's going to be so produced, I think we're going to have something special with Jeremy Borash, like I mentioned last week. Being in WWE, he did all the stuff in Impact, and he did some of the stuff in WWE when he came over with Matt Hardy. I think we're going to have something special. I think this is going to be a good match. I think Bray's going to go over, and I think we're going to see some crazy crap tonight.
Mark?
I hope that Bray Wyatt wins because John Cena didn't want this match. He wanted to give this match to the current roster, if you remember, several weeks ago. And I just don't think it's right if Cena wins because he hasn't wrestled in so long. You know, he's more semi-retired and doing Hollywood. So I really hope for booking sense that The Fiend wins or Bray Wyatt wins, whoever wins, because they're there every week.
Yeah, I agree. I watched that promo at the end of SmackDown. Cena definitely had the fire and the passion that he's always had. And if a crowd was there, they would definitely react to him, whether it was negatively or positively. I think it's more positive now because he's never around and it's just nice to see him. But while watching him, he also, he showed his age. You could tell he's older. He's not the young, spry, ruthless aggression wrestler, obviously, anymore. And him loving the business, I could see him passing the torch in a sense to Wyatt. I also agree about the heavily produced backdrop of it. I think it'll probably be the best match of at least Saturday, just because of how heavily produced it'll be. It'll be like a horror film meets Pee Wee's Playhouse, So I am all
is a horror movie with Pee Wee's
Playhouse. Yeah, and now we have a thrown together world title match for the WWE Universal Championship. We have Braun Strowman versus Goldberg. The match no one asked for, and the match that should just be scrapped, is now for the world title. Gentlemen, do we think Braun Strowman actually wins this because Goldberg doesn't want to stick around for the whole damn summer?
I want to take the ball on this one for a second.
Talk to me.
No.
So
Strowman loses. Yeah. Strowman loses and Goldberg stays because listen, Goldberg doesn't have to. Goldberg can do what Lesnar does. He can show up once a month, if that.
You think Fox is going to be okay with that, though?
Yeah, they have to be. This coronavirus is changing the world, and they have to be that. I do think something will be funny is if Goldberg's son comes to ringside to distract Strowman, and Strowman stayed by Nicholas. That would be awesome.
Yeah, Nicholas shows up. He's like, I always got your back, man.
That's great.
No, Goldberg goes over. You can't do a title change.
Yeah, I agree.
In a tournament.
No, yeah, it's
yeah. So I want Braun to win because he's always been mismanaged in WWE ever since he's been a solo act, leaving the Wyatt family. And he should have been a world champion years ago. I don't think tonight's the night for him, especially in the thrown together match. We already didn't want Roman versus Goldberg for the Universal title. I mean, if it was a singles match, it would have been weird and we would have been super happy about it, but it would have been okay. The fact and Goldberg was a champion was where it started going bad. Now we're getting even a match that we want even less in Braun versus Goldberg. And I think you're right, Mark. I think Goldberg's going to win. In my heart of hearts, I want Braun to win because I think having a full-time champ is there. But we had no build-up at all. Last night, they didn't do anything to even mention no storyline, nothing. Roman Reigns was meaning, and then decided that day to not compete because of everything going on. Fine. He's in the building, and I'm sure he would have been okay with a segment with 2 seconds where he walks in with his like briefcase or something, and then Braun just takes him out. He's like, I'm sick and tired of losing. I'm going to take your spot and I'm going to beat this old man. Like something to build on it. And all we got was, hey, Michael Cole audibly over like video that sounds different saying, hey, yeah, now we have an update to our Universal match and it's going to be like no mention of Roman at all.
Yeah.
So Goldberg's winning.
Yeah. It definitely sounded like a better idea, because all Roman did was walk up and say, I'm next. You can easily take that out of somebody's hands. You're next. Okay, I took you out. You can't compete now. I'm next.
Yeah, they already have a history. They like Roman and Braun already have a history. Like, okay, they have respect now, but how many people turn face and heel all the time? Look at Big Show.
It doesn't even matter when the title's on the line. That's
Exactly.
the point of wrestling. You should want to be world champion. I think that's something that everybody has lost.
Yeah, he just had the Intercontinental Championship. He just lost it. We haven't, I don't think, even seen him on TV since then. Why not just have him be like, F this, I'm pissed. I'm done. I'm gonna be that monster that was winning, and you're in my way.
No more catchphrases.
That's it. Like, you could have easily just beat up Roman like he did before.
So it seems like the main event for Saturday night is going to be the Raw Women's Championship match between Becky Lynch and Shayna Baszler. Do we see this as Shayna Baszler's crowning moment, or does the man just keep rolling through town? Mark, what do you see happening?
I love Shayna Baszler, and I think she's been one of the finest female wrestlers over the course of the last year or so. There's no way she wins the title, because if she wins the title, how do we get Ronda Rousey back? So I think we're going to see Becky hold on to the title. It's going to kind of bring back Ronda to the fold. Maybe it's SummerSlam, maybe Survivor Series if this COVID-19 thing goes on longer than we hope. And I think you're going to see Ronda Rousey back with Shayna Baszler, and Becky's going to be looking for a partner. Woo!
Well, yeah, I guess. It's not the worst thing, yeah, because we all, I mean, at least I want the 4 horsewomen versus the 4 horsewomen, so eventually down the line. So that'd be cool for, like, next WrestleMania. I think I'm going to disagree with Mark on this one. I think Shayna's going to win. I think it's her time to shine on the bigger stage, especially after Survivor Series and beating Bayley. So taking one of them out, now taking Becky out, I think that would be good. Becky's also had a really good run as Raw champion. I mean, she's been champion since this time last year. Some of the mystique is gone, like some of the like weirdness. Like she's been doesn't seem as badass as she used to, and I'm wondering if that giant truck that she has was supposed to be a special entrance for her.
It was.
Yeah, it had to be, right? Yeah, because you're not Hulk Hogan. But yeah, I think Becky's good. I think Becky's gonna lose. I don't think it looks bad. I worry that I've heard other predictions. No spoilers, just other people talking that how Shayna's been booked lately. Like she, especially at the Elimination Chamber, where part of it was smart, part of it wasn't. Where she was just plowing through that roster. As soon as she came out of that, she making them tap left and right. So I hope we have like a competitive match because we all know that Shayna can go. I don't know if the overall audience watches NXT and knows that she can have long matches and she's really good in the ring. They've only seen her dominate. So I think Shayna's gonna
win. I'm stuck because I agree with both of you. I feel like Baszler deserves the belt because you can't be that dominant and not dominate the world champion en route to having the belt. Like it, and I don't know if everybody's forgotten. I feel like ever since Becky Lynch has become champion, maybe this is my problem with her, that ever since she's become world champion, she acts like she had defeated Ronda Rousey. Like she beat Ronda Rousey technically in that match, but like every time Ronda Rousey got her hands on Becky Lynch, she made her look like a sucker. And that's kind of how I feel Shayna Baszler is going to make Becky Lynch look. But since it's taped, my thoughts are different because they can make Becky Lynch look such like a badass that it makes Ronda Rousey have to come back. because she either dominated Baszler. I don't think she'll dominate Baszler, but either that or she picks up the victory some way somehow. So
Yeah, I'm okay with it. And either way, whoever wins, I'm not gonna be upset if like Becky were to win. Like she's dominant. It's cool. I just think it's been a year. It's a good time to drop the belt. We're not at like that level where Triple H was champion for so long during the like ruthless aggression era, and then when he would lose it, he just get it like a month later.
For as deep as WWE's female roster is, including NXT, I feel like there's really no viable challengers other than Shayna Baszler for Becky Lynch, or even on SmackDown like Bayley. Like I don't take anybody on SmackDown serious,
Just Sasha, but we'll see what that happens this weekend, though.
Right.
Yeah. So that's it for Saturday night. For Sunday night, it seems we have Aleister Black versus Bobby Lashley.
Another Thronegator match. Why?
Aleister Black.
Yep.
Like
Black. Yeah.
How the mighty have fallen. Remember when Bobby Lashley was supposed to fight Brock Lesnar and it was supposed to be like Beast versus Beast? And
that's a match I always wanted.
They'll never give it to us because they have ruined Bobby Lashley time after time. He does not have any aura that Brock Lesnar has. Like he might have the muscles, but not the aura.
Yeah, that's a shame.
So
too, I feel like Brock could do so like a good they could work together really well. I feel like just to quote Big E would be two big men slapping meat. that threw you off.
Pause. So Otis Dolph Ziggler seems like the next matchup on the card. Honestly, I think it's one of the better matchups in terms of how the storyline has progressed.
Yeah, at least that story, yeah.
Last night they showed that Otis revealed that Dolph Ziggler and Sonya Deville were convening against Otis and his date. So Mandy Rose, walked away in disgust. Yeah, it looks a lot like
Ali,
like that guy Ali. Yeah. But I obviously think Otis will win this matchup. The good guy has to win, get the girl, and then you could deal with it later down the line of how you want the storyline to progress.
I want Otis to win, but until earlier this week when Dolph said I've never had a singles WrestleMania match, I was like, oh yeah, Otis is gonna win because that makes sense storyline wise. And then he said I've never had a singles WrestleMania match. I'm like, are they gonna let Dolph Ziggler lose his probably only match he'll ever have? Yeah, probably. They fumbled.
Probably. Yeah, probably. Yeah. Mark, what do you think?
I'm going to say Otis wins the match, but didn't Dolph really win? I mean, he got to make out with Mandy Rose for the last 7 weeks.
So, yeah, he keeps winning at like
he always seems to win. He got Mandy Rose. He got Lana. Lot of chicks out there.
Vicky Guerrero. I'm not.
Yeah.
I mean, he did get her.
How the hell have they not made
AJ Lee, right? AJ Lee.
Yeah, AJ Lee, yeah.
AJ Lee.
Nikki Bella in real life.
Yeah, right.
Amy Schumer.
He was the topic of one of her specials, wasn't he? I mean,
he was in the movie. He was supposed to be John Cena, right?
Well, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you think that was Cena making fun of him?
Yeah, I think
yeah, I think so.
It's even funnier because probably Cena knows certain mannerisms that Ziggler has.
And then that was like right where he was dating Nikki. So,
right, they definitely have a correlation. So what is it? 2-1 for Otis and Ziggler? You think Ziggler's gonna win, Carlos?
Nah, Otis.
Otis. All right, so that's the Stone Cold lock.
Yeah, if Ziggler were to win, I'll be happy because I love Ziggler. I always loved him as a performer, and I think he deserves a win at WrestleMania in a singles match. But man,
they can get it next year.
Yeah, Ziggler and Ryder always get treated the worst in that 4 group of friends, like with Morrison, Miz, Ziggler, and
I wouldn't be surprised if
And,
this is a pre-show.
Yeah, I see. This is the other thing too. I know there's like an hour kickoff for each night too. So why? I hope there's no matches during the kickoff. If you're
I can
splitting
tell
up
you,
the days,
Aleister Black and
every
Bobby
match has-
Lashley are on the kickoff,
Yeah.
and I can tell you, Elias and Corbin are on the kickoff. I
Yep.
can tell you that right just from the look at this card.
Just a random like segue. Do you think you get less money if you're on the kickoff than the actual main show, or do you still get
I
that
thought you
big
could-
like no
I
matter
thought
what?
they get
check?
paid salaries like any other, or I guess there are benefits.
There's a bonus for WrestleMania. You get like a guaranteed.
Yeah,
bonus.
I'm for sure they're like on the card. They're not paying Goldberg the same they're paying Otis.
No.
Here's $200 for being on WrestleMania. Goldberg here's $200,000 for
they just throw Otis a ham steak. Like, here you go.
right. And he cool.
Great. Goldberg during his negotiations said, "I want a portion of the gate."
Oh my god, that'd be hilarious. That would be hilarious.
So next we have the NXT Women's Championship match: Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair. Obviously the first NXT title of men or women to be held and defended at WrestleMania. How do you guys see this shaking out? Is this another reign for Charlotte Flair? Does she take over NXT and bring some more notice to that brand, or does Rhea Ripley dethrone the Queen and make her mark as a marquee star in wrestling? Mark.
There are two ways I can go with this, obviously, but I'm going to go with the way that Charlotte wins because Rhea Ripley will then gain it back. If you have Rhea Ripley win the first match, there's no reason for a rematch. But if you have Charlotte win, then you have Rhea Ripley chasing Charlotte, saying that I know I can beat you. I think that's a more realistic, and that's what I'd like to see happen. So I'd like to see Charlotte win, and then Rhea Ripley chase Charlotte down the road and regain it back.
Carlos?
I think this match can go either way. I think WWE's weird. Like I could see them giving Charlotte a win because she lost last year. And she is like a once in a lifetime talent. So I wouldn't be surprised of Charlotte winning. I personally think Rhea is going to win, and I'm going to go with Rhea in this one. But I like Mark's idea that if she wins, like they can make this a best of 3 series. That third match too, you could have some chicanery, just to bring that word back. You guys have chicanery, and whoever won the number 1 contendership like ladder match that's going to eventually happen on NXT, whoever won that match can get thrown in that third match, and then no one looks bad if that person wins.
That's why I think Charlotte Flair right there, Carlos, is going to win this match because she can give the rub to other wrestlers. She can go down to NXT and face whoever wins that. Let's say, if Dakota Kai won it, or if Tegan Knox wins it, she can wrestle those people and give them the rub. And then go right into what Mark said, make it a series of matches. After that, Rhea Ripley comes back in 2 months. Hey, I want my shot now. I'm ready, and beats her. And then that leads to a third match and so on and so forth.
Part of me was thinking with Rhea too. At first I was like, oh man, that'd be really sucky if she loses at her first WrestleMania. But then I'm like, it's the same thing that we'll get to someone else that is going to be on WrestleMania that you'll eventually talk about. She's like 22, 23. Like, dude, no, the sky's the limit for her. She can lose now. Like, that's fine. I'm still picking her, but she can lose at WrestleMania, at her first WrestleMania, and she's going to have like 20 more because she could retire when she's 40 something.
I think like Vince has this thought in his head that no one will ever come close to take her streak. So the sooner you can lose, the better.
Yeah,
get her. She can win her next 10 WrestleManias in a row, but she'll be 10-1.
Mm-hmm.
So next we have the Raw Tag Team Championship match: the Street Profits versus Austin Theory and Angel Garza. Interesting because Andrade was supposed to be his partner, but now it's Austin Theory. Austin Theory is very, very, very young. This is blue chipper, big moment. What do we see coming from him? Do we think that the no way they put the straps on them, right?
No.
Mark?
No, I think with Andrade in the match, you could have possibly seen a title change because they're really building up the Zelina and Garza and Andrade. But now that Austin Theory's in there, look, you just mentioned it a second ago, Carlos. Or actually Nick, where you can have someone like Austin Theory debut at WrestleMania and have a really good showing and lose and be built for the next 10, 15 years. And I think that's what Austin Theory is going to do. I don't see him winning championship gold with a mixed match partner.
Right.
Yeah, think about this. So he's 22. Mark, you said he's been in wrestling 3 years, right?
I think 3 or 4. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's won the WWN championship, the Evolve championship. He's 22. He's teaming with a member of the Garza family to go against the Raw Tag Team Champions at his first WrestleMania with a week's build.
Tell me, he got lucky.
Yeah.
6 months in the promotion, he's on WrestleMania.
I got goosebumps just naming that out loud. That's amazing for him, and I think he's gonna have a great showing. Same thing with Garza, and the Profits are the champions, and they'll have a great showing too. But they've been on Raw TV. So the casual fan who maybe watches Raw and SmackDown and then WrestleMania doesn't watch anything at NXT, those two other guys are getting the rub. This is awesome, and I think Street Profits win. Obviously, that's going to be a lock. But we're in for a special match, at least with Austin. This is going to be something you look back in 10 years when he's the Universal Champion.
Nick, before you give your prediction, I wanted to comment real quick as well. I like Austin Theory's character. Kind of cocky, his match against what's the guy, the selfie guy?
Tyler Breeze.
Thank you, Tyler Breeze. Just showed some great chemistry, some great character development with him. I kind of see this match being where maybe Garza takes the pinfall and then Austin Theory kind of attacks him afterwards, or there's some kind of. They're going to build Austin Theory's character with this match somehow, and they're not going to win the title. So I kind of see some kind of interaction between the two of them post-match.
Yeah, that works because they're both on NXT too. They're both NXT talent. So
yeah, I definitely see the Street Profits winning this matchup. I would like to say Austin Theory and Angel Garza would win because I am, we're all fans of stables, and I could see him easily being in that stable because they're all cocky. Angel Garza drop kicks you, jumps out the ring, and goes and kisses a girl in the crowd. If that's not cocky, I don't know what is. And Andrade is very cocky. It gets him caught up in a lot of bad situations during a match. So I would like to see them win the titles, but the Street Profits have just got the belts. They have their own program going on with, Seth Rollins, at least as far as I know, before the whole COVID-19 taping started taking over. So I don't see them losing the titles anytime soon. So I'll give them the nod. It seems like the match after that is SmackDown's women's title match between Naomi, Lacey Evans, Tamina, Bayley, and Sasha Banks. Is this the moment we see Sasha Banks and Bayley break up for good, at least go their own separate ways just for the title? Carlos?
I don't think it's tonight. I think it's going to be alluded tonight. I think this is going to be the start of this year's storyline between them two. I think at first I thought there would be some friction, and there might be. I would prefer if there weren't. If they were had each other's back, even though they're bad guys. I always hate that they always are gonna undermine each other. It'd be cool if they just shook hands and let's just do whatever then. But I think I have a weird feeling that Sasha's gonna win while Bayley's not paying attention, and Bayley's gonna be what the F? I wasn't even what? Or
is this an elimination match? I'm not 100% positive. It's
a fatal 5-way. I don't think it's just. I think it's normal fatal 5-way, not elimination. I wish it was elimination. That'd be cool.
I want to take parts of what Carlos just said, where Sasha and Bayley will have their moment, but I think Lacey Evans steals the title. They've been building her up. This would be a time for her to win because the focus would be on Bayley and Sasha, and they can kind of go into their own program. They don't necessarily have to be fighting for the championship. And I think you give the rub to someone like Lacey Evans, who they're definitely pushing and definitely trying to make into a bigger star.
Yeah. Okay. I like that.
I've been on the Bayley train since day one, and I'm going to remain on the train because I don't see them giving the belt up just yet. I think this whole ego, megalomaniac character that she has now, where she's like, I'm so much better than you, but she doesn't really do anything amazing in the ring. I love it. She finds ways to win. I love that, and I could easily see her doing something shisty, like her and Sasha take everyone out, and then she rolls Sasha up, and she's like, thanks, buddy, and Sasha's like, okay, I guess, and then she betrays her, but I see Bailey, taking advantage of that friendship because every time they've been friends, it's been Sasha Banks that's been always alluded to being the bad guy and taking advantage of Bailey. So I think a little turnabout happen at Mania.
I like that.
So now we have the last man standing match between Edge and Randy Orton. I think this match is going to go on for at least 40 minutes. I could see them filling so much time with this matchup.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the match of the whole weekend.
So one I'm looking forward to the most because it's the one that's been booked the best. And we've been getting some great promos from Edge. Randy Orton has given his A-plus game during this program, just showing what he can do when he's invested in the storyline, which makes you wonder why they haven't given him more interesting storylines throughout the years. There's I hate to sound common sense. There's two ways of looking at this. You can have Randy Orton, the active competitor, beat the guy who's been retired for 9 years, or you can have Edge get revenge over the RKO and his wife and building up all the stories. So I'm going to flip a coin, and my coin says Randy Orton wins this match. But either way, we win because this is going to be a great contest.
All right, I'm gonna go with Edge on this one. I think because it's just a feel good moment, but I like the idea of Randy winning and then like maybe hurting Edge somehow again, so we don't see him for a while. Keep going a little bit, and maybe Randy dethrones Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship. Little spoiler for who I'm picking for that match. And then, or Universal title, whatever. And then Edge comes back near SummerSlam and challenges Randy for the title, and Edge wins that title.
I agree with Edge winning. I don't agree with that many steps for him to be in a world title picture. I see him just winning straight out, not dominant, but showing that he can be who he used to be. And that way he can have more matches, as we go along. Because when he first came back, all he alluded to was having these matches. Ran down a bunch of superstars he was looking forward to wrestling and working with. I can see him easily doing, two shows a month, and wrestling people we never thought he'd wrestle, and then, get his way towards the world title down the line. But I just see him, running through the talent because I think he'll have that mentality that he has to start from the bottom to make his way back up. Because if there's one thing he's always alluded to throughout this whole program is that he is gritty. He is all grit.
Yeah.
See, I saw that differently than you did, Nick. I thought he mentioned those names like AJ Styles and everybody else to please us, the hardcore fan. I don't think there was any intention of him being a quote-unquote full-time performer. Now, I'm okay with him wrestling every pay-per-view or having a program. I just don't see it happening. I think that was said to make us happy. And, maybe we'll see Edge versus AJ because I think that's a match we'd all like to see.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's any intentions of it happening. So we'll see. Hopefully I'm wrong.
So speaking of AJ Styles, the next match on the card is the Boneyard match.
So you mean Alan Jones?
Hey,
Alan Jones versus
Mark Calloway.
I'll take Mark Calloway for one.
I think Alan Jones might win with the Faith Breaker.
I don't know. Alan Jones versus Mark
Michelle
Calloway.
McCool. Wait,
6'8"
AJ versus Michelle McCool. Whoever wins has to use the Faith Breaker.
No, what do you guys think this match will be like? Do you think it'll be like the Firefly Funhouse where it's like super produced? Because that's the feeling I'm getting.
Yeah.
Where it'll be super produced. Taker will vanish in thin air and like come out from behind him and be able to choke slam him, and he'll give him the perfect choke slam, through a tomb, through a tomb, and just
Mortal
Kombat style.
AJ Styles alluded to some stuff like I mentioned last week on his mixer, but like he didn't allude to like he more alluded to like how the match type is basically like it's a graveyard match. They just don't want to call it that because they're a bunch of people dying in the world. So and there's definitely a referee, so that's going to be interesting. So there's going to be some kind of fall or somewhere to be like, hey, you lost. But I'm more interested in when he was talking. He's like, bring those two asshats, Gallows and Anderson, and I'll bring the unholy trinity. Like, who is his unholy trinity? Me and Mark were talking before air. He was thinking, what, Kane and Michelle McCool.
Aleister Black?
Yeah.
I like the Michelle McCool thing because, like, she's in the storyline and it's not like she can't wrestle. And she could probably hit the faith breaker on AJ. Like,
that's going to be Anderson. That's Anderson. Anderson eating that.
I just thought of this. It won't happen, but wouldn't it be cool as hell if it was Kane and Sting? Like, wouldn't that just be awesome?
Dude, I would. Honestly,
it would suck only because there's no fans. Because no one can experience that moment. Like, if they pull that out, that would be in the living room. But
now, I do want to say, like, I was watching previously to us recording. I was just catching up on like kind of my YouTube stuff, and I was watching Wrestling Regret with Brian Zane. And his prediction, he said, like you mentioned the whole Unholy Trinity thing too. He was thinking like, what would that be like? Everyone says Kane, obviously, because he can still wrestle when he's mayor. But like Kane and I don't know, maybe like a hologram of Paul Bearer. I'm like, if they could just use the audio of Paul Bearer, I'm okay with that.
Like Obi-Wan, oh, yeah, just Obi-Wan with the little urn and the side,
yeah. Or like you see the urn and you hear the oh yeah.
So are we all taking Undertaker on this one?
Oh yeah,
it's fine.
Okay.
AJ doesn't. Okay. AJ doesn't. It doesn't matter if he wins or loses.
Yeah, it's AJ Styles. He's phenomenal.
That's why I was more shocked a couple years ago when he won against Shinsuke. I was like, oh really? You're not going to give it to Shinsuke?
And that leaves us with one match left, and it is the WWE Championship match between Drew McIntyre and Brock Lesnar. Gentlemen, do we see a new coronation of a king, or does the Beast stay dominant and hold the title because of the whole COVID-19?
I'm going to go with Drew. I'm just going to interject and I'm going to go with Drew still. Part of me wants to say that it's not. It's going to be Brock because of what's going on now, but I feel confident that Drew's going to win.
I think it's Brock because of what's going on now, and I don't see any. I mean, there might be some title changes we alluded to earlier in our predictions, but I don't think either of the world titles will change hands because of the situation that we're in. There's nobody been more deserving of their push than Drew McIntyre. This is a guy that got released from the company several years ago, bounced around, made a name for himself, came back, and we can blast Vince McMahon for a lot of things, but one thing he did right was building up Drew McIntyre from the Royal Rumble up until about 3 weeks ago when this COVID thing kind of took over. And they were on a trajectory to make him the biggest star. And I think that you can still have him lose this match, but still gain that when they have fans back in the arena. So, again, flip a coin. I mean, this is the one thing about this COVID-19 thing and having empty arena matches is that you don't know. There's been no spoilers. We kind of know who has wrestled and who didn't, but we don't know who won the match. This is going to be a total surprise. We're going to be going into this wondering what's going to happen. And if Drew wins, I'll be very happy for him. But part of me wants him to get that victory with 80,000 people cheering, or at least 20,000 people if they do it at SummerSlam.
Yeah, I agree. I like that idea as well. I think, and I'm also trying to think like how the match is going to progress. Like, are we going to get a quick match? I prefer, especially with the stature of Drew McIntyre, like he is gigantic. I hope that it's like a not longer pace match. I'm not talking about like Goldberg and Brock at WrestleMania 20. I'm more thinking like just a little bit of a longer pace.
Well, I'll say this, Carlos. If it is a quick match, then you have to have Drew win. Like it has to be like
Claymore out of nowhere. Yeah.
Okay.
That'd be That would be awesome. But if that's the case, I don't know if I would still. I guess one of the world title matches has to be like the last match of the night, but maybe not necessarily. I mean, I would still put Edge and Orton as one of those main events.
Yeah, I would definitely have Edge and Orton be the main event if I could, and have this be right before and be a quick sprint, like you said. I think Claymore kick out, F5 kick out, Claymore win. That would satisfy me because it would show that they're both strong, but their finishing moves are so strong it usually takes people out. I'm going to say Drew McIntyre wins this one. You have to keep the storyline going because then Brock Lesnar can always challenge, win it back on some random Raw episode. Special Brock Lesnar's on Monday Night Raw. Even he's going to wrestle, but no one's there. It works out for everybody.
Yeah, that's fair.
You don't put in the full effort to please the crowd or anything like that. Just come in and win the title, and then you can build towards SummerSlam and have him have a super crowning achievement with fans behind him. That was the timer for WrestleMania 36. We're gonna just jump into our thoughts about what happened this week in wrestling between NXT and AEW. If anybody wants to jump in, you can jump in with whatever point you wanted to make. I wanted to just start with AEW just because that first match between Omega and Trent, that looked like they hated each other. I don't know what happened, but it looked like they really did not like each other, and there was some like personal bad blood. I'm pretty sure there isn't, but man, Trent is making an impression on me. He is looking like a single star in the making.
That you're not the only one who's mentioned that too, man. Trent, it looks like $1 million by himself, and it's not a disservice to Chuck and Orange Cassidy. Like they're great too.
They are what they are, though.
Yeah, they are what they are. Like they're really good. It's just Trent looks like $1 million. Trent needs to he needs to be in that TNT championship picture.
Yeah.
If not, obviously not in the tournament, but like maybe after, where it's like he needs to be a contender for that. Him and Scorpio Sky, they're these two people that are in these trios that look so impressive, and like I think they will be the focus. I don't think that is a negative thing, especially with Omega having a singles match with him. He's an EVP. You can see him afterwards, be like, "Damn, that was amazing. You actually pushed me to my limit. Like, we gotta do something with you more."
Well, there was a post-game show with Taz, Excalibur, and JR, and all three of them said the same thing that you could be part of the unit, but JR said there's more money as a singles wrestler and there's more opportunity as a singles, and you can still have them be part of the best friends, but kind of push Trent as a single and kind of push maybe Chuck and Orange Cassidy as the tag team, and you'll get a little bit.
Yeah, New Day did it with Kofi winning the WWE Championship in WWE. Like, why not have like Trent go for a TNT title or the AEW World Championship?
I generally think that they're going to make that six tag title happen sooner than later, maybe by the winter. So I could see them having success with that. Other than that, I think Trent should kind of like break off onto his own.
I forgot about his singles matches too, as well in New Japan. Like someone mentioned that as well, and I was like, yeah, I forgot that he was with Rocky Romero, and like they were a good like tag team, but like Trent's got what it takes, man, to just be a single star.
Side note, I love Cody on the mic because he gives us little tidbits. Like he was like, you know what they asked for when I said, what do you want for your entrance? He said, puppies and aliens. That's all they wanted. Puppies and aliens.
That was awesome.
So it seems like the program going forward is John Moxley versus Jake Hager. It's been announced they're going to have a match in 2 weeks. I enjoyed that build up program that they showed, the little video package. AEW seems to be getting better and better with those. It seems like they're getting more sports oriented in terms of their packaging, and I don't see Hager winning, but it's odd to hear him talk. I think they should have just kept him silent. Do you guys what do you see coming out of this feud?
How Jarrett could be the mouthpiece.
Yeah, I agree as well, because I forgot his not to like knock the guy, but like his speech pattern is a little strange. He has a lisp, which many people do in the world. Like I
go ahead.
But like Yeah, but yeah, that doesn't take away from him being a badass. He just needs some kind of mouthpiece. I assumed with his wife showing up at Revolution that she was going to be present moving forward, at least with him,
Right,
like
right, right.
in these singles matches, because like the inner circle being together, that's fine. But I don't. I know I've seen her previously when he was going for the NWA championship. Like she was with him. She was a presence similar to Revolution, but in the Indies, she kept coming out with him. I assumed that she would be the mouthpiece for him.
I'm sure she'll be involved in some form or fashion because she was involved in Revolution, like you said. Um, we had the debut of the Murder Hawk monster. That's how they're building him in AEW. I prefer just the Murder Hawk. That sounds cooler. Lance Archer versus Marco Stunt, our favorite Rugrat.
God,
Jim
he's
Cornette
just.
loved that match, by the way. No,
Who?
Jim Cornette loved that
Oh
match.
yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my
yeah,
God.
yeah.
Just kidding.
It's
Dude,
up there with
Marco's
Vic Grimes
stunt.
and New Jack.
Oh, yeah. Dude, Marco's stunt is just one of those like test dummies. Remember like those back in the day?
He got some
He's
offense in though,
yeah, it's fine. God, he's just
more than I thought that he ever should have. Like, but I will say Lance Archer chokeslammed him from like the sky. Like he brought him all the way up and through him.
Hey, yo, how real quick, how cool was QT's gym? That thing looks awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. So what do we think about Lance Archer? It seems like that TNT tournament is heading for Cody versus Archer in the finals.
Nope. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen right now. The first match is going to be Cody versus who was he matched up with? Spears, I think.
Spears.
Yeah.
You're going to have Archer come out, distract Cody. Spears is going to get the win.
Yep.
When Archer faces Cabana, you're going to have the same thing. They're going to cost each other their victories. Darby Allin's walking out of that tournament champion.
Yep. I think so too. I 100% agree. And I think it might be like I'm thinking Darby versus Kip Sabian at the end. I think that's going to be the finals because I'm sure Kip will win his match against whoever, and they'll get a blow off between Kip and Cabana, and then Darby will beat Guevara. Obviously, he's going to win his match, and then that's what I think. Yeah, I think it's going to be that's how we get that. I think Darby's going to win.
I'm not sure yet, so I'm not giving my prediction. I kind of still feel like
I want to know what this title looks like.
Right.
I just love how titles look, and I love the AEW World Championship. I want to see what this thing looks. It's gonna have a giant TNT logo in the middle.
I just feel like if they're gonna have a finals, they're gonna want.
Yeah.
I just feel like if they're gonna have a final, they're gonna want somebody marketable. You know, Cody's their most marketable person. To have him on the forefront is important. I know it's like a broken record, but they're still in their infancies. They need a dominant, face or heel to be for their.
Well, Darby is being groomed to be like this next, like the next, not Sting.
Yeah, don't say that.
More like Jeff Hardy.
Right, but even Jeff Hardy took a while to get going before
Jeff Hardy with a little peppering of Sting. A little peppering, a little seasoning of Sting.
He has face paint.
That's it. That's
the same thing they got going on.
But yeah, I think he pretty much is like the next generation of like Jeff Hardy, and I don't think that's the wrong thing to say. I think that's a good comparison.
I'll go against the grain and I'll say Cody and Archer seems like the finals. That way he'll get his match and he doesn't have to like cost him anything. He'll just get his match and he'll force his way to have that match. Then we had the Natural Nightmares versus the Dark Order. Dustin Rhodes and QT Marshall are 3-0 now. I wouldn't be surprised if they're not 5 in the rankings coming up for next.
Yeah, I want to see those updated rankings because I forgot. I didn't realize they have like 3 wins and no losses as a team.
I love the Dark Order's gimmick where they can send these numbers out to take losses because it doesn't really reflect against Brody Lee's record or anything like that. So it's just 8-9's record is 0-1 now. And then for the final main event match, we had Cody and Darby Allin versus Sammy Guevara and Shawn Spears. Obviously, Shawn Spears and Sammy Guevara won that matchup. What are we looking at in terms of?
They didn't win. Cody and Darby won.
No. Sammy Guevara and Shawn Spears won.
Did they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just remember Darby attacking Cody at the end. I thought it was after they must have run them off then.
Yeah, they ran him off because Darby got thrown out and they pinned Cody for the win. Or I'm sorry, they pinned out Darby for the win, not Cody. And
it was like a schoolboy, right?
Yeah, it was just a basic schoolboy, the greatest finishing move in all of wrestling history. The roll
We
up.
missed that on the Last Supper.
Yeah, I was expecting that, but it was like no.
Well, that just proves my theory even more that Darby Allin's going to win the whole thing.
Because he's just a badass, I guess.
Yeah.
I like him. He's probably my favorite homegrown AEW talent. But
I like him too. I think Cody's your most marketable.
Yeah.
Keep going on that.
Cody's the best face in the business. He is.
That's what I'm saying. He needs a belt. He needs something to validate himself. Because then, think about it. You could jump right back into that MJF feud, right? Cody has the belt now. I'm not saying that Cody he definitely will win that belt. I would take Cody to win this whole thing, right? And then have him be the champ and have Lance Archer and MJF on his ass, and then you can have multiple matches between the three of them for that title. And that elevates that title immediately. You get your new star who you just signed, fresh off the boat, go right into a main title scene. And while that's happening, Moxley has his thing going on with the Inner Circle. And you don't up with that groove. You don't have to have the Elite. And the Elite is in turmoil because in the tag team titles, they're against each other all the time. Right. You are booked solid all around. And you can even throw Brody Lee once he's done with SCU and the rest of these three-man groups. He can go right after, because that's what it seems like. He went after Best Friends in Orange Cassidy, right?
Yeah.
So it seems like he's getting rid of whoever has a three-man tag, group. And then I could see him being thrown into that Dynamite picture or even the world title picture to go after Moxley. So, you got plenty of options. Matt Hardy's, floating around messing with Jericho.
That was hilarious. Oh my God, that was hilarious.
They have so many.
Trying to recruit Manny One into the Elite. Or to,
give him like a little freaking shirt, like a little Jericho wearing full pants in the hot tub. I don't know why that made me laugh. Like just wearing like leather pants into the hot tub. I love it. I always forget that he just because this Jericho has been like a mix of like previous Jerichos, like kind of like I'm the best of what I do when I do is terrible. Like and also like the funny, like he's so funny. I love him.
So I think that pretty much covers AEW. Any closing thoughts you gentlemen might have for this week, for this upcoming WrestleMania? Any closing thoughts you want to give in?
I will say I'm the only. I understand what's going on in the world, and obviously, I'm not taking away from that stuff. Like, stuff is getting canceled, pushed back left and right, and I understand the needs of the world are. I can still be sad about stuff, which is what I'm saying and trying to get to. But man, I wish we got to see some of these crazy entrances for WrestleMania entrances. We're gonna, obviously talk about some stuff like that in a moment, but those are some of the best things, man. Like I wanted to see what Becky had in mind for the giant freaking truck and what craziness we were gonna get with like Bray. Like, well, actually, I think we're making it out better with Bray in this like pre-tape match, but like what are we gonna get with some of these matches? I think we're gonna get something special, man. Like Charlotte Flair's is probably gonna be crazy, like just bombastic, and then Rhea Ripley, man. Like it would have been so cool to like the band that sings her thing to have them come out. Like I just love stuff like that. I'm just a little sad.
Well, speaking of entrances, we here at the Entrance Ramp decided we're going to do a top 5 list because it's WrestleMania season. So we're extending this episode an extra 10 minutes with our closing thoughts and our top 5. So we're going to start off with our top 5 entrances from WrestleMania. I'll start it off, and then we can just go down the line and loop back around. So for me, number 5 is Rusev, his Tank entrance. Number 4 is Austin at WrestleMania 13 with the broken glass. Number 3 is Michaels coming down from the skyline. Number 2 is Taker when he came back at WrestleMania 20. And my favorite, is Ric Flair's last WrestleMania with him decked out with the fireworks going off, with the moment about to happen. You knew it was coming, but you didn't want to say goodbye. That to me is my number one entrance. Carlos, what are your top 5 entrances in WrestleMania?
All right, so top 5 entrances. So we're gonna go with number 5, which is the New Day at WrestleMania 32. You know, I'm a big anime fan. Then with the Saiyan armor, the Saiyan hair, the tails, and the cereal, perfect. Um, I think it's amazing. Number 4 for me is actually a surprise. It's going to be Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 12. Just like you said, just coming down from the ceiling, just looping around the fireworks. I goosebumps right now just thinking about it. Number 3 will be the Hardy Boys surprise entrance at WrestleMania 33. I did not see that coming at all. That's going to be in another top 5. We'll talk in a moment, but man, like the weekend that they had, and then to hear their old school music, that was amazing. Number 2, I believe it's WrestleMania 36. Oh no, I'm sorry, not 36. That's this weekend. 26, when when Shawn Michaels came down from heaven, basically in the all white to wrestle Undertaker. And then number 1, I can't pick one specifically, but just Undertaker. There's something special about it being nighttime, hearing the music, the gong, the druids, the fire, and just the Undertaker in general.
My 5, kind of a mixed bag. John Cena at WrestleMania 22, where he had the gangster entrance with CM Punk.
See, but
Okay, right. Triple H at WrestleMania 30. Only because that was the opening match at 30. The winner between him and Daniel Bryan was going to join the main event as a triple threat. Thought it was a great entrance. Charlotte Flair was part of that entrance. Shawn Michaels Skyline at WrestleMania 12, which of course Nick mentioned earlier. Sting at WrestleMania is, for a long-time fan like myself, Sting was one of the only faces I ever really liked growing up. I was always kind of gravitated towards the heels. Sting got his WrestleMania match, even though it was a loss, and his entrance was amazing. And my favorite entrance is more or less based on the backstory, and that was Roddy Piper at WrestleMania 3. There was an edict from Vince McMahon at WrestleMania 3 that only Hulk Hogan was going to come to the ring without using one of those electronic, ring carts. And Roddy Piper said, "Screw that! It's my retirement match. I'm running to the ring." And I just love the backstory of that. So that was my favorite entrance of all time.
Okay. So we're going to talk about our top 5 surprises now. Mark, you want to start us off on this one?
Sure. My number 5 top surprise was Zack Ryder winning the Intercontinental title in a ladder match. I thought that was a great surprise because I don't think any of us predicted him.
No, nobody thought that.
Number 4 was Seth Rollins cashing in the Money in the Bank at WrestleMania 31, where he joined the Lesnar and Roman Reigns match. My number 3 was WrestleMania 30, the ending of it, where 75,000 people were going, yes, yes, yes. I didn't think they were going to pull the trigger, but I'm glad that they did. My number 2 surprise was Vince McMahon joining Stone Cold Steve Austin at the conclusion of WrestleMania 17. Double turn happened, yeah. And of course, number 1 has to be Brock Lesnar defeating The Undertaker at WrestleMania 30.
Yeah, I agree.
Carlos?
Good. Yeah, so my top surprises, I'm going to go with number 5, WrestleMania 31, Sting versus Triple H. And not the match necessarily, but I was heavily imbibing at that moment, a few brewskis. And I made a joke at the party I was at the party I was throwing. We're like, man, wouldn't it be crazy if like the NWO and DX came out? And lo and behold, the NWO and DX came out. So little boy Carlos was so excited. Older Carlos seeing like Kevin Nash with gray hair and like kind of limping. I was like, I don't want this. But it was a special moment. It was a good surprise. Number 4, I said before, the Hardys coming back after the crazy weekend they had at WrestleMania. I believe it was 30. What did I mention? It was 32 or 33. That whole craziness, just them leaving Impact a few months before, going and doing ROH for a while, dropping the titles to the Young Bucks at Friday night. Saturday had some crazy ladder match. I think with Pentagon and and Phoenix, and then that Sunday showing up and winning the tag titles at Raw. That was crazy. Number 3, I'm gonna say The Rock showing up at WrestleMania 32. Didn't expect that. It was just nice to see him again after like he had a couple WrestleManias. He was wrestling Cena. It was just cool to see him, and quickest match in WrestleMania history. Poor Rowan. Number 2, Sheamus beating Daniel Bryan. That wasn't a good surprise. That was a really bad surprise. I love Sheamus. I love Daniel Bryan more, and at that time, I was very disheartened to see him lose in such a quick manner. I didn't think we would get where we at with Daniel Bryan at the time, especially because I thought it was just over for him. And then number 1, Undertaker beating Brock Lesnar. Really didn't expect that. I always thought in my mind it was going to be Orton.
Yeah, I agree. I think everyone here is Lesnar beating Taker is number 1. So my number 1 from jump. But for number 5, it's double turn between Bret Hart and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Going into that match, obviously I wasn't as in depth as I am today. So I can go back and watch how the Raws played out before that match, and you could see that Austin still wasn't truly liked. He still was a bad guy, and Bret Hart was still hanging on to being a good guy and being kind of beloved, but nowhere near how he was before. So that double turn for me is number 5. Number 4, Miss Elizabeth helping Macho Man Randy Savage.
Oh, it's so good.
That. But even so, like I said, with the network, looking back, I still see that kid with the little he had the yellow hat, like the rain hat, crying. He's like, ah. I wonder what that kid thinks now that he's probably like 40. He's probably like, oh God, get that off the camera.
You know what he's doing? He's watching that clip, and then when he's done, he's listening to Macho Man's rap album.
Number 3 is Seth Rollins winning his triple threat match at WrestleMania. He took the loss to Orton earlier that night with probably the best RKO ever. And then for him to come out and win the title and steal it is just awesome, because that's how WrestleMania should be. I should be, surprised and ecstatic at the end of WrestleMania, not like, oh. Number 2 is Hulk Hogan slamming Andre the Giant. I think nobody thought that would happen, and that was the catapult for wrestling. It gave wrestling its picture. Like, look at this man slamming this giant. That's what wrestling's all about. And obviously, number 1 is Lesnar beating Taker, because no one saw that coming except for that guy with the yes shirt and his eyes popping out of his head. He saw that coming.
Yo, that dude, man. I think that dude's name is Elias. I'm pretty sure.
That's great. So top 5 wins in WrestleMania history. I'll just run through these real quick. Number 5, Batista over Triple H. Number 4, Austin over Michaels. Number 3, Bryant over Orton and Batista. Number 2, The Rock over Hulk Hogan. And number 1, Brock Lesnar over Triple H over Undertaker. Those are my top 5 wins, just based off the fact of how important those wins were for the wrestling industry, not in terms of how great the quality of the match was, but just in terms of how they stacked against history. Carlos, what are your top 5 wins in WrestleMania history?
So number 5 is a very controversial pick, and I'll try to explain it real quick, but it's Benoit winning at WrestleMania 20.
Mute him, Mark.
I know. I have a really hard time separating the man from the product. But that imagery of Eddie Guerrero crying, hugging his best friend, both holding world championships, where as a fan I didn't think that would ever happen, is a very emotional time for me. I remember tearing up watching it live. But yeah, just not talk more about Benoit. Number 4 would be Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 30. That was just a great moment. Very emotional, similar, but a little more heartfelt because Daniel Bryan didn't kill anybody. Rollins at WrestleMania 31, stealing the title. Like you mentioned, that was just awesome. Did not see that coming. Didn't really want Roman versus Brock at the time, and just to hear Rollins' music, I flipped shit. I scared the shit out of my wife because I screamed so loud. I loved it. Number 2 is Kofi at WrestleMania 35. that was probably one of the most emotional wins. Xavier running in and Biggie crying, just straight up crying. That's another one I didn't think it was going to happen. Everything just fell in the perfect place last year for Kofi. We had Kofi Mania, seeing his kids. I had my son with me. I'm crying. He doesn't understand why I'm crying. It was perfect. And then number one is Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 12. Just
I had a little
awesome.
I had a little bit of fun with mine. You'll see in a second. My number 5 was the Ultimate Warrior defeating Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 6. They tried to pass the torch to the Ultimate Warrior. They didn't know at the time was a huge failure. Hulk Hogan was still very much over. Randy Macho Man Savage winning the tournament over Ted DiBiase. DiBiase was supposed to win the world title that night.
Oh, man.
But because Honky Tonk Man refused to drop the IC title to Randy Savage, they made it up by giving Savage the victory at WrestleMania 4. Here's my joke of the 5. The Iron Sheik winning the gimmick battle royal at WrestleMania 17. He won that match because he could not take a bump over the top rope. So the only way they could do it was have him.
This goes back to episode 1 of our show. Yeah.
Of course, Daniel Bryan winning the world title at WrestleMania 30. That was probably my favorite WrestleMania moment. Like Carlos mentioned, the guy that we will not mention anymore was my previous favorite moment. And of course, number 1 has to be Hogan versus Andre. Nick touched upon that earlier. The slam, the match, the first 5 seconds when Andre fell on top of Hogan and Joey Morella counted 3, but he only counted 2. The whole match was just great, and it was a big win for Hulk Hogan getting that torch passed from.
I mean, Gorilla Monsoon with the line of the lifetime,
Yes.
the immovable object, and
yep.
That was just...
And so that transcends, from one great match to our top 5 match list. So for our top 5 matches in WrestleMania history, Mark, what are your top 5 matches?
Number 5, WrestleMania 17, the TLC match between the Dudleys, the Hardys, and Edge and Christian. Just a phenomenal story, phenomenal match. Those guys always had great chemistry. Number 4, WrestleMania 18, Hulk Hogan versus The Rock. I don't think any of us expected the match to be as good as it was, and I was very pleasantly surprised. Number 3, Shawn Michaels versus Kurt Angle at WrestleMania 21, a clinic of a match that won match of the year that year, I think in 2005. Number 2, WrestleMania 13, Bret Hart versus Stone Cold. You touched upon it earlier, Nick. The double turn, it was the trajectory to Stone Cold Steve Austin's career from there. And number 1 was WrestleMania 3, Ricky Steamboat winning the Intercontinental title from Randy Savage. Just a great match that still holds up to this day.
Yep, it definitely does. All right. So, yeah, me. All right. So I had 18 matches on here. I dwindled it down to top 5 and a bunch of honorable mentions. So I'll just go through my honorable mentions real quick. I have 6 of them. So we had honorable mentions. Shawn Michaels versus Ric Flair at WrestleMania 24, and also tied with Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker at WrestleMania 26. Those retirement matches are super emotional for me. Last night we had on SmackDown the replay of the Ric Flair one, and I usually skip forward through these replays, and I stopped at the last couple seconds. Just Shawn Michaels looking at Ric Flair saying, "I'm sorry, I love you," and super kicking him is one of the greatest things I've ever seen WrestleMania-wise. So my other honorable mention, Batista versus Undertaker at WrestleMania 23. That match was insane. That was great. Big dudes just beating the crap out of each other, and not just like normal big dude match. I mean, those guys can go, they can jump, they can run, they can do so much in the ring together, and that match was awesome. Another tie in my honorable mentions, WrestleMania 21. We had Batista dethroning Triple H and John Cena dethroning JBL, and the kind of start of this new era as both of them as being champions. And I think it was just one of those. That was a great WrestleMania for me. Another honorable mention: Triple H versus Booker T from WrestleMania 19. Going through that match, like that whole lead up was amazing. Little racist undertones from Triple H was really weird at the time. I still think Booker T should have went over, but Triple H was so dominant at that time, so it's a little rough. Another honorable mention, we have The Rock versus Hulk Hogan, like Mark mentioned. That match was amazing. That match actually was physically awesome. And then I just goosebumps when they just look at each other, look at the crowds, and just hear both of them go. And then TLC 1 is my final honorable mention. That was crazy. That was nuts. And then so now going to my top 5 quickly. Number 5, Kofi versus Daniel Bryan at last year's WrestleMania 35. Again, just that story it told, everything leading up to Kofi Mania. Really didn't think it was going to happen for a while. And to him actually winning the belt 11 years after like debuting was awesome. Number 4, Daniel Bryan versus Batista and Randy Orton. It was almost Triple H and Daniel Bryan, but I think the impact of Daniel Bryan winning the title is a little more important match-wise. Number 3, Shawn Michaels versus Kurt Angle, WrestleMania 21. Like Mark mentioned, that's a clinic. That's something you study. You sit there, you watch, you do everything because you got sides of Shawn Michaels you rarely saw. You got like a lot of technical stuff out of Shawn Michaels in that match. Amazing. A little strange, I think, for a lot of people. Not a lot of people mentioned, but Eddie versus Kurt Angle at WrestleMania 20. That was just a great story. This is a great technical match, great like fast match, and then Eddie winning by hook or crook like he always does that's just an awesome moment. And then my number 1 WrestleMania match is actually my all-time favorite match of all time, which is Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 12. Biggest impact I ever felt as a wrestling fan. Little kid me did like the whole just Shawn Michaels like split thing, and I was crying. My mom was with me and her partner. My mom's partner was like hugging me. She was so happy. She loved Shawn Michaels. It was just amazing. So that's my top 5.
To my top 5 real quick. Edge versus Foley, number 5. Number 4, Taker versus Michaels, the first one, not the second. And
Okay.
3, Bret Hart versus Owen Hart. Number 2,
Yeah, that was almost on my list too.
And number 1 is Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Bret Hart. Those are my top 5 matches in WrestleMania.
They're all great lists. Yeah, those are all great.
And my top 5 wrestling performers, our final list of the night. Number 5, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Number 4, Hulk Hogan. Number 3, Brock Lesnar. Number 2, Shawn Michaels. Number 1, The Undertaker.
Okay.
For me, number 5, John Cena. Number 4, Triple H. Number 3, Hulk Hogan. And this will sound familiar. Number 2, Shawn Michaels. Number 1, Undertaker.
Alrighty. So yeah, my top 5 is a little different. So number 5, I have Edge. Number 4, Kofi Kingston. Just again, he's basically been in Money in the Banks and everything, and then again culminating in last year's win. Awesome. Number 3, The Undertaker. I have him a little lower just because some of his matches are a little bleh, like
Giant for sure. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of those, but
yeah.
But like
Nathan Jones,
right? A-Train and Big Show, like I get it.
Yeah,
I get
yeah. I mean the good matches are amazing. I mean, don't get me wrong.
I feel like once you got the 10, other than the A-Train and Big Show match, after that, a lot of his matches picked up. You had Flair, you had Batista, you had Edge, you had obviously Michaels twice. Now
Triple H 3
plummeting
times
again, but still.
Yeah. Yeah. Number 2, I'm gonna go with Brock Lesnar. Just because the volume of his matches aren't that big, but like I think it was at WrestleMania 19 with Brock Lesnar versus Kurt Angle. That match is insane. Brock beating Undertaker and ending the streak is insane. And then he has some dominant performances. Like they're kind of fun. And then number 1 is top 5 for me. It is number 1 in general. Shawn Michaels. He's Mr. WrestleMania. He is my favorite wrestler of all time. So I got to go with him, and he can work with anybody.
So that's it for our top 5 list here at the entrance ramp. I don't really have any closing thoughts other than, enjoy WrestleMania, be safe, stay safe. I would recommend watching Vice's Dark Side of the Ring. Those are great documentaries about the other side of the.
I really gotta get on that.
We're interested in those types of documentaries or those type of outlooks on wrestling. It's more so than just the performers and the performance in front of the camera. There are things that go on behind the camera as well. So,
and they really do a good job of not fluffing it. They're taking
Right.
it seriously. They're reporting it. They don't have an agenda. They're trying to be as pretty straightforward as they can be, and really well done.
Gentlemen, do you have any closing thoughts?
No, I mean, other than like you mentioned, stay safe, everyone. Have fun. It's WrestleMania weekend. Though this is a crazy WrestleMania, I'd say I'm still super excited, super pumped. This is one of my favorite times of the year. I just have so much fun this time of year. So everyone have fun. Like, just enjoy, and let's see what the hell this is going to be.
Well, I'm going to say this, not to sound like Debbie Downer, but I'm having a real hard time. I'm part of a Facebook group called End in This Corner, and my friend Bob basically said it best. And he said, I'm having a hard time even getting a semi for this WrestleMania. And that's kind of where I'm at. The whole thing sucks. It sucks for real life. It sucks for wrestling. It sucks for entertainment. And this WrestleMania will have an asterisk next to it when we look at the annals of all the WrestleManias. I'm going to watch it because I have nothing else to do. So
I've been watching Marvel's Race, so I'm pretty bored.
So, everybody enjoy WrestleMania to the best that you can. The good thing about it not being live is that you could probably watch it in parts and not really miss anything as long as you avoid spoilers on social media. So, maybe you could take a break, watch an hour or two, and go back at it. But that's what I'm going to be doing, guys. And, for Remy, who's at home, I hope he enjoys WrestleMania and everything else. For Carlos, Nick, I'm Mark. And we'll see all you guys next week on the entrance ramp with a WrestleMania recap, by the way. Until then, we'll see you guys. Take care.
Yeah, we'll
Take care, guys.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Entrance Ramp Podcast. Please like us on Facebook at the Entrance Ramp Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at the Entrance Ramp Pod, and subscribe to us on YouTube by searching for the Entrance Ramp Podcast. We'll see you next time.